Morning, y'all. I'll wait a minute or so, let people get on here, have a good start to the day. All right. I think we're a go. Allie, good morning. Good to see you are joining us. And we have a few other people. I'll just wait another 30 seconds or so before we get rolling. Excuse my Facebook Live etiquette. This is new to me. Allie says good morning. Okay. All right, that's the gist of it. All right, PT on Ice. This is Wednesday, the day for the older adults. So my name is Dustin Jones. I am a new faculty member with the Institute of Clinical Excellence. I'm going to be teaching modern management of the older adult with Christina Previtt, formerly Christina Novak from Stave Off. And I'm just super excited and really honored and humbled to have the chance to be able to teach this course with her. She's definitely the brains of the operation. I don't know what I am. I'm the beard. I'm the beard of the operation. I'm not the bronze for sure. But she's good people. So we're doing an 8-week online-based course where we're going to just kind of walk through and break down how to care for older adults well in an evidence-informed manner, but really kind of break a lot of the stereotypes that you see with working with older adults with geriatrics, and just see how we can really serve them well, just taking what we know from the strength and conditioning world, what we're learning in the fitness athlete, even endurance athletes, just kind of all these different realms that we kind of pick from in rehabilitation. How can we apply those to the older adult? So I'll start off with a little background about myself. So I did undergraduate training in athletic training, much like Ryan Smith, who's on right now. Did my CSCS, went to PT school, all that fun stuff. I was primed and ready to kind of pursue the sports, athletic, physical therapy type realm. I really wanted to work with a sports team. And as I got out of school, I took an outpatient ortho job, worked in a shoe store, just in the middle of West Virginia, and had a great time. But I really, really wanted to kind of be with that athletic population. And so I wanted to transition, not necessarily into sports, but more kind of a doc in a box, to be a Ryan Smith or a Mitch Babcock, if you will. And it was in that period of time where I started teaching at a kettlebell gym. So for those that are not aware in the world of fitness or kettlebells, CrossFit typically uses American-style kettlebell training. Kettlebell is a tool. There's different ways to use that tool. I was trained the traditional or Russian style, which is a little different than what a lot of the CrossFitters use, but there's a lot of similarities as well. But in that time, I wanted to supplement my income basically and work a job that I perceived that would be easy, that would be flexible, and that would pay well, and home health, fit the bill. So I'm being brutally honest with you. So I did that so I could really pursue spending time in a fitness facility, working as a coach, but also a PT. And the more time I spent in home health, the more I just fell in love with it, and just decided to go, all in with older adults. And so that kind of has formed me, kind of the sports fitness background, and just pretty active myself. And now, I'm mainly working with older adults and just see a lot of gaps, if you will, or disparities. Because one thing that you do notice, if you're kind of in that fitness world or sports realm, when you walk into a skilled nursing facility or even an outpatient clinic or an acute care hospital, whatever, setting that you can pick, you're going to see something that's pretty disturbing when you see the different clinicians working with older adults. And I'm going to talk more about that in a bit, but what that disparity really motivated me to create something called the Senior Rehab Project, which is a podcast, but also a community of rehab clinicians that want to better serve older adults. And out of that group of people came this hashtag, OldNOTWeak. So old, not weak. What does that really mean? I kind of view this in two different directions. One, the provider, so mainly speaking to us, the clinicians, but then also the patients, the people that we work with. So old doesn't equal weak. So if you just close your eyes, just go think about all the different settings that you've been in. Every setting that you did a rotation through or that you even worked through. And if we have an older adult patient, I can almost guarantee you that 75, maybe 80% of the time, those older adult patients are going to be taken probably through the same routine. Probably some seated thorax, some long arc quads, ankle pumps, quad sets, marching, in their chair. They may have an ankle weight around them. They may be using a green TheraBand. But for the most part, the overwhelming majority is underdosed strength training. We all assume that older adults need to get stronger, and we do it in a manner that is not very effective. And this is not just my own words. The APTA actually said this themselves in their Choosing Wisely statement. They said to be very, very cautious to choose a PT that does underdosed exercise that makes it very, very easy. But so you see that all over the country, and largely I believe it's based on a lot of assumptions. Some would call it ageism. So if you have a certain belief or stereotype of someone that is older or younger for that matter, that can inform you in how you perceive that person, but ultimately how you treat that person. So if I see an older adult, someone say with a cane or a walker, they're in their 80s, and I look at them and I have all these stereotypes, all these things I'm thinking in my head, that can inform how I treat them. So typically we'll see that as, if they're older, they're probably weak. They're probably fragile. They may have some urinary incontinence and just the whole other bag of goods that we associate with aging. And the more that you work with older adults, the more that you see that could not be the case whatsoever. Yes, some of those things are present with older adults, but that is not necessarily guaranteed with every patient that walks in. But yet, what do you see? You see assumptions laid all over the place to where we treat almost every older adult the same. I know I'm making large blanket statements, but I mean, the overwhelming majority, it definitely has rung true, especially with many of the people that I interact with. And so what we see is our patients basically being handled with kid gloves and ultimately not getting the care that they deserve or even the results or outcomes that they could potentially get. And that's an absolute tragedy, I believe. That when we have the kind of those ageist biases, that we think that old equates to weakness, that we underdose some of the exercise we do with these patients, we don't give them all that we have. And I really think that this population really stands to gain the most out of any patient population that we serve. And it just makes me think of any of you all in fitness, if you've ever worked with someone that's never lifted a weight before. They go into the gym and then, within 4 to 6 weeks, they have those neuromuscular adaptations and they've increased their ability to lift or squat or deadlift or whatever, lift you're talking about tremendously. And it's very encouraging, but just the strength gains in a very short period of time are absolutely phenomenal. And that has a big impact on people's lives. And so now just think of someone that hasn't trained per se. Most, older adults haven't trained a squat or a deadlift or some of these more robust movements. Then when you put them under load and they haven't experienced that before in a consistent manner, in a very thoughtfully dosed manner, in a progressive manner, the results are amazing. I mean, we're seeing timed up and goes cut in half. You're seeing Berg scores go, through the roof. You're seeing 5-time sit-to-stand tests. All these outcome measures that we have that have a lot of good data supporting them. Older adults can improve dramatically with these outcome measures and their function if we actually treat them like adults that can actually adapt and not that they're going to break if we try and challenge them. So that's kind of where old not weak is in terms of talking to the provider. Age does not equal weakness. Older adults can adapt, they can get strong, and we are, I think, in the best position to be able to do that for those people. So the provider, and now we have the patient. So many of those same stereotypes that we have of older adults, and I'm guilty of this as well, they have of themselves. So there's many patients that don't think that they can get strong. They think that they are destined for weakness and fragility for the rest of their life. And there may be some truth to that to some extent, but even, all the way till the end, older adults have a tremendous capacity to adapt to stress, just like, anyone listening does. If you experience stress, you're going to adapt in a hopefully positive manner, but older adults can do that as well. They don't believe they can get stronger, and they've just kind of lost hope. And I know that's not for everyone, but that's kind of what I've seen in the majority. And so I feel like this Old Not Weak message, maybe not using the hashtag, I don't know if they get down with hashtags yet, but just really showing them that they still have potential to benefit from some strength training, that they can adapt, that they are not stuck in the position that they are in, that there is hope, and we can help them along that journey. And I think that's very important, because a lot of times they don't get told that whatsoever. It's all about what's wrong with them, what's broken with them, and just think of how that impacts someone when they have that mindset or they've had those interactions for so long. I mean, we're talking decades of people being given these diagnoses that just make them feel like they're worthless and their body is broken. But we can come alongside them and say, hey, just because you're old, just because you're 80, 85, 90 years old, doesn't mean you have to be weak, doesn't mean you have to struggle to walk or struggle to get off the commode or struggle to get off the couch. You can adapt, and I can help you with that. So that's the hashtag, Old Not Weak. Feel free to use it. I don't take claim to it. It's more of a hashtag that came out of a collective group of people that really want to challenge stereotypes within our profession, but also our society as well. So the big takeaway that I want you all to walk away with, is the hashtag in and of itself. But just check your assumptions. Assumptions are very different than assessments. I know you're very aware of that, but it's so easy for us to just assume that someone is weak, that they have trouble with X, Y, and Z. And I do want to recognize that there are clinical patterns that we need to recognize, but we need to assess people, definitely our older adult patients, and not assume they have certain deficits, and then have that inform our treatment plan going forward. So assumptions are very different than assessments. So before I jump off here, I do want to mention a few ICE courses coming up. Ryan Smith is on this right now, so I'm going to mention his course. The live fitness course with Mitch Babcock is going to be in Ellicott City, Maryland, so crab cakes galore. It will be at his place, Recharge. That is going to be on October 21st to 22nd. And then that same weekend, if you're in North Kakalaki, Justin Dunaway is going to be at Zach Long's clinic down in Charlotte. Early November, Justin Dunaway is also going to be in Boston for that total thrust manipulation course. So if you are in any of those areas around Maryland, Boston, or down in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia area, definitely check out the courses. You can go to ptonice.com to find those. And then also, if you can't get to a course, you have a virtual platform. So virtual ICE, or VICE as some would say, that is going to be opening up the 3rd of October. And it's going to be going through the 17th of October. So you can join that group of highly motivated clinicians. There's, every other week there's a really good presentation, discussion, case studies, and it's a pretty awesome way to have good content, but also mentorship in a way, and just be around really, really solid people that are going to help you be a better clinician. So all that stuff, just go to ptonice.com to get more info on that. And thank you for listening.